Welcome everybody. If I can just ask everybody to mute themselves until the Q&A, please. This will ensure the best possible recording for those who couldn't make the live call. Thank you. So firstly, brief introductions as your hosts today. I'm Dawn Campbell, Sales and Marketing Director for the IAPC&M, and I'm joined by David Monroe-Jones, Chief Operating Officer here today, who will say a few words about the main event at the end of the call. So we're here today with the persistently innovative Tracey Carr, founder of CDC, the new coach development community built as your gateway to practical support services. Now, I say persistently innovative, as I know Tracey, who's going to share her vision, has had this for many, many years, and we're keen to hear how she finally turned it into a reality for the benefit of you and me. So without further ado, welcome, Tracey.
Thank you so much, Dawn, and welcome to our listeners. And I want to say a very big thank you to IAPC&M for hosting this webinar. And I also want to say that it is a collaborative new service that we're bringing to the world of coaching, which we hope, along with IAPC&M and Noble Manhattan, who are our partners in this project, we hope that what we have created for you is indeed a full service solution for coaches, and that it will make your life easier. And I say that because, as Dawn knows, we've had many chats over the last months, and in fact this project has been a year in creation. As Dawn knows, I have had 15 years as an executive coach, running full leadership programs across corporations. And when I started out as a coach, I wished I'd had something like this. And I wished I'd had something like this as I moved forward, because it would have saved me time, it would have saved me money, and what we have been doing in the last few months and even few years actually is working to bring this together. So without further ado, I'm going to move the slides on and show you what we're also very excited about. So as I've said, it is about saving you time and money and getting better results for your clients, because let's be honest, that's what we all care about the most as coaches and leadership experts. Here is a little bit about me. I'll just briefly talk about that, which is that my speciality was women's leadership development, gender IQ. I did a lot of that, particularly in financial services, and a lot of those resources are now in the membership site, which I'm about to tell you about. And we, with our partners, IAPC&M and Noble Manhattan, are bringing a special offer to those two communities for only 200 founding members. So a few suggestions, not really housekeeping, but type in your questions as we go along so that we don't lose them, because I love to answer questions. That helps me to learn. I love to hear questions. That helps me to learn. And have a pen ready for the special offer domain that I'm going to share with you at the end, because that domain is not on the web anywhere. This is a special offer just for you, and you will want a pen to write that down. So make sure you stay until the end. So our agenda today is to talk about how we are digitizing CPD, how we have created an amazing software called Goal Shaper, which is a full functionality software to help your clients get better results. And we are going to talk about that special offer for 200 founding members. I hope that sounds exciting, and if it doesn't, do put that question or comment in the comment box and I'll see if I can improvise as we go along. So why did this come about? As Dawn said, I spent many years being an executive coach, running huge leadership programs, and I just wished that there had been somewhere where I could go, which was a central repository which gave everything I needed as a coach, from coaching contract documents to business development to being able to have an expert on side to pick up, I would have said the phone all those years ago, but obviously now it's Zoom or Skype. It's to have that expertise on tap when I needed it, rather than spending hours on Google or trying to find the right expert for my question when I needed it. So I think that we, you know, when we start out, we all feel a little bit like this, don't we? It's there is a huge staircase to climb, and let's be honest, as coaches, we often end up feeling a little bit lonely because, and we go into coaching because we love people, and then we end up as solitary coaches, often end up as solitary coaches. And, you know, that can be a lonely experience because we love people. So our first driver in creating this community is to solve that issue, so that we don't feel alone anymore, that we're doing this together, that you have the expertise that you need on hand, and all the coach training that you need, and all the accreditation that you need. So this is my take on how it currently looks. I think it's fragmented. I think we are possibly the only industry left known to man which hasn't been digitized. We do inefficient ways of working. I think we still, I know because I've researched this with lots of coaches that I've been speaking to over the last few weeks and months, is that we're still all using paper to keep our files for the coaching that we do, to keep client notes. You know, we try to research through those notes to find out what did they say last month and 6 months ago, and we waste time, and that's actually not good for clients, is it? So I hope we've got a solution for that as well. I hope you'll see that's a solution for that as well. And this is the website that we've spent a very long time creating. It's called Coach Development Community. And like I said, it's a collaboration between IAPC&M and Noble Manhattan. And I'll tell you a little bit about what's inside this website as we go forward. But just first, reflecting on the industry, research says there are 1,500 new professional coaches every year. That means they are qualified, accredited, and they have those full qualifications and accreditations, if you like. But that is, you know, a big number because it's quite niche still in coaching. There are a lot of coaches who are NLP qualified or disqualified, or even inside organizations who've been trained as managers and so on, who don't have that professional tag. And I think because of that landscape, clients are becoming more discerning, and we all need to up our game. Probably when I started 20 years ago, there was a lot more slack. I think clients now are asking for that accreditation. I think they're asking for proof and client testimonials and return on coaching investment. How do you present to clients that actually the spend has been worth it? So what have we done to solve some of those issues? Well, you saw the website. It's called Coach Development Community, and it brings together coach development, accredited coach development training, a knowledge hub, which I will talk through, weekly Ask Me Anything calls, and the accreditation. So there's a huge bundle of services and resources that you will receive as a member. And importantly, what we've done is automate the tracking of the content that you consume. So whether they are live events or whether they are recorded events or documentation or audio that you consume from the Knowledge Hub, we will track that for you so that you have a full record of your the CPD that you're consuming. And so here you can see that that's a member profile. We've got those digitized records. You can see what you've recently visited. You can see what you've consumed. And we will collect those points for you so that when you go for accreditation or you go for re-accreditation, or even when you go to a client, you can evidence that commitment to your profession. And I believe that's becoming increasingly important. This is a little bit of feedback from some user. So we've got some user members already, and this is a little bit of feedback from one of those. I should say at this point that Knowledge Hub in itself has taken us 12 months to put together, and Knowledge Hub is an entire resource that covers everything from personal and psycho-spiritual development. Depending on how deep you want to go, we can go there. Professional development, which is delivered by Noble Manhattan, so it's accredited professional development, and business development. So how do you run a business? What do you need to know about marketing? What do you need to know about networking? What documents do you need? Do you want to run seminars and workshops? We've got documentation that can help you plan how to set up a room, how to run a webinar, what you need to remember, etc. So 7 of us who've been in coaching for 20, 30 years each have spent a year putting all those resources inside Knowledge Hub. And not only that, part of the offer that we're giving you today is to have access to Goal Shaper software. And this is my baby. This comes from a long history of, I guess, developing people is a broad term that I can use, and knowing that clients can sometimes be very good inside workshops or seminars or even in the one-to-one coaching situation, but it's often what they do when they get back to their desk, which is sometimes difficult to track, and also sometimes where they struggle the most. And I wanted to, years ago, develop solutions to that. And back in the early days, I had developed a paper planner, which I was selling via Cisco's international networks. I then went to deliver a seminar at Google, and they said to me, why don't you turn that paper planner into software? And now I say I stupidly said yes, because I went from people development into technology, and they are 2 worlds that are completely different, but that's a whole other story for another day. Hopefully, if you join as a member, I'll tell you about it. It's the only software in the world which goes all the way from creating your vision and your annual plan down into, okay, I mean, this is what you will do as a coach. I'm sure that you all do this. It's about creating the vision. What's your dream? How are you going to get there? You're going to break it down into quarterly milestones. You're going to break it down into monthly goals. And then you're going to manage your time around all of that. And so most of the functionality inside Goal Shaper is for your clients, because we want to get better results for our clients, right? And the special part is that you as a coach can get access to what we call a coaching office, and then you get to see your client's progress inside your coaching office. You can also upload documents or training resources into there. And in fact, there's a tab at the top, which you may be able to see just in the top right-hand side, called Keep the Momentum Going. That links directly to Coach Development Community. And from there, you can pull resources which you can search. There's a search button on Coach Development Community, and you can search for what you need for that client, and then you can share it with that client inside from your coaching office. So I've covered a lot. I'm going to recap because there's an awful lot in what I have just said. But this is a special invitation for you to become a founding member. So we're going to give you automated CPD records. We're going to give you regular and timely accredited coach development. We're going to give you weekly there's going to be a special hour set aside for Ask Me Anything calls, and you can book that call with any of our 7 leaders, and you can have a one-to-one with that expert on anything you want to know, from personal development to business development. So you get community, forum, and potentially income if you share the good news of the coach development community and all of the benefits of that with other people. And what we hope we've achieved is that you get everything you need in the same place and in real time. One of the 7 leaders at Coach Development Community is Binny A. Dansby, who is my mentor and my coach, and she's absolutely amazing. You may have heard of Ottolenghi, the restaurant empire guru, who's another creative extraordinaire, and I like to think that Binny is the source of all of that creative extraordinaire energy. She has been working with Ottolenghi since its inception. And the one thing I do want to say is that there is no contract. You can cancel any time, because we want this to be valuable to you. We want you to recommend it to other people. I've put a figure in here which sounds ridiculous, but it only sounds ridiculous because of the hourly rate of coaching that I would charge, or any of the other 7 leaders might charge. And if you put that in once a week for 52 weeks of the year, it brings it up to a very substantial sum. And I think that's one of the benefits of what we're doing here, is we're bringing live support to the coaching industry, as well as all the other benefits, which, as far as I know, doesn't exist anywhere else. So again, there's a list of all the benefits. And the special offer for all of that for the first 200 members is a monthly payment of $79. That includes, by the way, in your Goal Shaper software coaching office, 10 clients. So even 10 clients using the software, if they went to the website and signed up for themselves, it would cost more than that. And then we have an even more special offer, which is $948, which is the whole year up front. And we're doing our own little crowdfunding with our partners, IAPC&M and Noble Manhattan, and their communities, which is sharing equity in the software company if you make that payment up front. So I said to bring a pen, and I'll leave this on during the Q&A, because that is the special URL that we have created for the page, which will recap all of this, so you can go over it in your own time. And you can choose 2 options when you get to that page. One is you can sign up for the $79 a month offer. And the other one is you can fill out a form. And you can fill out that form to ask more questions about the equity offer, or about anything, actually. Just fill out the form and we will get back to you. So, Dawn, I hope I've done well. It's 3:30, so I got that done in 20 minutes.
Good, well done. Well, we've still got a little bit of time, so I'm sure we've all got questions. Perhaps I can kick off with just explaining a little bit more about, once somebody has become a founder member, what is the whole process they're going to go to? How quickly can they access things? They download the software, they can share it with up to 10 clients to manage their time. Just explain that a little bit more, if you would.
Yes, so we will call every single person who registers, whether they sign up for the $79 a month offer or they want to have a chat about, fill out the form for the equity offer. So we will call everybody back, And the reason for that is that we really want to build this community with those 200 founding members and really onboard everybody carefully. So you will get immediate access to Knowledge Hub and everything that's in there. We are going to start the live coach training events with Noble Manhattan on I think it's pretty soon actually. I might need to get Ian to confirm that, but certainly in September we will start the accredited live coach training events, and we will set everybody up on the software, which we'll train everybody on the software so that they know how to add their clients, they know how to track their progress, and importantly know how to use the software for themselves. So Ian, could I just ask, is the coach training starting in September? You're on mute.
Yeah, absolutely. The best way of keeping me quiet. Yes, it does. I was just having a quick look. So I have to.
I think the 18th's on the top of my head.
Screens. I think 18th is the Practitioner Coach Diploma webinar. And the 26th is the Executive and Corporate Coach Diploma webinar.
Excellent.
18th, they're normally every Wednesday, every third and fourth Wednesdays. I will, though, just check. I've got the 19th of September, Wednesday the 19th of September, Wednesday the 26th of September, the next two webinars.
Fabulous. Thank you, Ian, for confirming that.
Okay. And it's beliefs.
Good. Well, we all have those that we struggle with from time to time, hey?
So when you phone them and you talk them through how to upload the software and use it, and technically they've bought a license for up to 10 clients, is that right?
That's right, and those clients can use the software as individual users. So bearing in mind, Dawn, that most of the functionality has been built for the users, not for the coach. So just to differentiate the software in the marketplace and in the minds of the listeners, there are a lot of coach softwares. But they're more for scheduling and diarising, booking meetings and invoicing, which is helpful for coaches, but we wanted to build something which is going to help the coaches' clients. So yes, what we will encourage the coaches to do is to use the software first themselves, because obviously coaching your users how to use it is going to be tricky unless you've been using it yourself. So that will be the first step. And then, yes, there are 10 free tokens licensed for the coaching office, which is technically free. Really, it's just the users that the members are paying for.
So this is unique software in so much as your focus is on the end user, which hasn't been done before.
No.
And secondly, the coach who buys the 10 licenses can offset that cost with whatever the client is paying anyway.
Well, yes, absolutely, or charge the retail rate, which is people sign up to the website. If they're buying it for themselves individually, it's $19 a month.
Okay, so the client is selling not only their coaching services, but also some software that will help the client actually realize their goals in between the sessions.
Yes, that's right. And obviously the coach has the ability to check that client's progress in their coaching office, which is great insight when you're having those coaching calls. And it just gives you an immediate digitized way of accessing that information rather than having to rifle through stacks of paper.
What feedback have you had from the end user, if any, yet? Because I know today is quite historic. Today's the launch day, so it is very new. But any client users feedback yet?
Yes, well, we have had a very iterative process in terms of the build. So we wanted to build something that users wanted, not what we thought they should have. So we had users very early on. We've probably got 2,000 users in there at the moment. Some of those users have helped us literally create the ultimate version. And we had our first corporate, well, business client, let's say, which was Simon Zuchti of Property Investor Network. And he's got a national network of coaches that he, who coach his students. So he's got a national business teaching property how to build wealth through property. And he's got 27 coaches. We set them all up and his students have been using it. The software can be customized. So if any of the coaches wanted to recommend the software to business clients or corporate clients, if that's a world that they work in, then we are really interested in, you know, sharing revenue for those introductions. Feedback, to answer your question, Dawn, I had a call last week from a user, and actually it was from Property Investor Network, and we had a glitch in the software and a temporary we couldn't see our data. I'm the first one on the phone when I can't see data, but this time it was a user and he said to me, I can't log in and I can't see my data and I feel like I've lost my lifeline. And I'm laughing because that's how I feel about the software. It reduces overwhelm. It makes simple that kind of chaotic way that we all work, which is jumping from the laptop to the piece of paper to the phone. And you collect everything in the same place using dump chunk do for your time management. You collect everything in your dump column. You drag and drop into your color-coded filing cabinets, and then you schedule on your do calendar. And it does actually, users report that it does actually reduce overwhelm, which from the coach's point of view will really help if the client reducing over the coach.
Okay, thank you. So now's probably a good time to open it up to our listeners with some questions. And yeah, go for it. You have to unmute yourself though. We can all unmute ourselves now, I think. I did like, while everyone's unmuting themselves, the fact that you talk about consuming CPD, because after all, it is brain food, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, you know, I mean, if we are coaches and we don't want to develop ourselves, it's kind of strange to me. So, you know, what we've tried to do is bring coach development all into the same place, you know, like I said, personal, professional and business, so that people don't have to search around or, you know, travel the country to find coach training, and that, you know, everybody has what they need easily.
Yeah, okay. So questions, please. We've got 10 minutes left.
Tracey, is the system sort of like truly international, so that people can access this from anywhere in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. It's in the cloud. It's on Amazon S3, and people can access it from anywhere in the world. And in fact, on the sales page, which is this page here that your members will access, there is dollars on there as well as pounds. So we've got that in mind. As we all know, it's tricky when you write your website. So you're going to use American English or English, and, you know, how do you deal with languages? But yeah, we have that in mind, and we're on a journey with it.
So on the the subject of languages, because it might be a question that some of our listeners and certainly some of our members will be curious about. What is the plan for having the software in a number of different languages, specifically for clients whose first language isn't English, for example?
Well, it's a really good question, David, and that takes me back to what I was saying earlier on about the customization aspects of the software. It can be configured. So whilst there are some parts of the software that remain static, for example, the page headings, which might say goals or dump, chunk, do, or whatever the tab is, that remains static. But all of the coaching language and all of the categories, everything can be adapted. So you can write all of that in whichever language you want to use.
And how does that relate to, again, thinking about things such as coaching contracts that people might want to have access to? Would they be available in different languages, or would the expectation be that they would download something in English or American English and then translate it themselves?
Yeah, that's not something we had thought through yet, David, because I guess that's a question about translation services, which we're certainly not automating that. I think the simple answer at the moment is yes, people would have to translate themselves. And you can download the document. So of course you can download it, translate it, and repurpose it for your own needs.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Could you just clarify the Ask Me Anything? Are those the webinars that Noble Manhattan? No, that's the training. The Ask Me Anything. How does that work? A member just randomly rings one of the 7 founders and books a one-to-one?
So we will introduce a booking system, and the user will then, the client, the member then will select who they would like to speak to. And if that person is available, of course, we will book them in for a one-to-one session via Zoom or Skype.
And that's free as part of their package?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're not calling it supervision because it's something different. It's not about supervising your coaching work. It's much more loose. So do you want to ask a question about business development, for example, or, are you struggling with a client who's got some real emotional issues that you haven't found a way through for them? It's those kinds of questions that you may not have access to in supervision. Maybe you do, maybe you're lucky and you have a great supervisor, but generally it's broadening it out into other areas.
Okay. And with regard to the community, I mean, you're absolutely right. Coaching, we come into coaching because, we love communicating, but it can be very isolating as a career. And I know from our database, we've got members all around the world. So how is your community going to work? You mentioned it's going to minimize the isolation. There's going to be a forum and even possibility to earn income. How does that work, Tracey, please?
So we have built a forum and that will grow as the membership grows. Currently, people can comment, ask questions, and chat. So there is that way to connect. We've got a specific purpose-built Facebook group called Coach Development Community, which, by the way, anybody on this call can join, and that's completely free of charge. So that's another way that we will bring people together to connect. And of course, we will be encouraging people to share the good news of Coach Development Community or even the software on its own. If they've got business clients or corporate clients, we'd like to work with people so that we can help them perhaps increase revenue a little bit and get a little bit closer to us in terms of building that community.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Tracey, is it feasible, or have I missed something, to provide an expanded what's in it for me for those for the 200 founders? I know you produced a slide with some basic headings, but if you could flesh them out a bit, that would be very useful. Like, for example, the goal seeker,
Shaper.
Goal shaper, to explain in a little bit more that you could, this comes with free 10 free licenses, retail price £19 per month per person, so people can actually start to it's much more easy to realize the value of signing up for such a program.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something we have really worked hard on, actually, which if everybody goes to that link, that's where they're going to find all that detail. So there is a very, very long web page that spells everything out. It's got lots of information and lots of detail. And there is quite a long video there as well, which goes through it all in quite a lot of detail and paints a picture of all of the benefits and the value of all of those benefits.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. And secondly, is it feasible to offer somebody a week's free access to the site?
It depends what they would like to do, because, as you know, Ian, part of what we're trying to do is encourage people to keep a record of their CPD, and that's going to be delivered live. So if people don't want the full offer, I should say at this point that once we've got our 200 members, there will be a starter package. So it's probably going to be less than £20, where they can access Knowledge Hub and those recordings, but not get the full version of the software for their clients, and not get the live training, the live coach training. So it might be worth waiting a little bit if that's what people want.
Yeah, I agree. That's quite a good point, Ian, for our own individual communities. And I know I talked to you about this before, Tracey, that if maybe we could have somebody who is selected, perhaps from today's call, to test it as a case study for a week or a month or something, and then they do a video back as to how it actually worked for them as a coach and their clients. I know you've already got your beta testers and they could probably do it, but somebody who's already within our, the Nova Manhattan community, the IAPC&M community, so they're speaking to their own peers, that might be useful.
Definitely, absolutely. If anybody is interested in working with us on that basis to create that case study, I would be delighted. And I would suggest that the easy way to do that is to go to that link and fill out that form so that we can contact them after this call.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Any more questions? I'm conscious of time, and we're bang on time now. So before we hand over to David, I just want to check if everybody has had their say. Hello,
just a quick, sorry, Dawn, just a very quick question, Tracey. As coach training providers all around the world, so I just want to ask, you have the CPD courses. Is there a possibility that some of us could use that as a part of, for our students, of course with a payment, and for them to grow into maybe from the certificate level to maybe from the diploma level to a much higher master level or something like that? Is there a way that we could, as course providers, use some of your CPD sessions for our students so that they can also acquire or gain more knowledge and experience and go into another level?
Yes, I would say absolutely. Sorry, what's your name?
Chiruni.
Chiruni, whereabouts are you in the world, Chiruni? Are you in the UK?
Sri Lanka.
Oh, Sri Lanka, okay.
She keeps muting herself because I've said it's a lot of background noise from her area.
That's fine. I mean, those are the only questions I wanted to know. And it's a timely question because we have been discussing it. I've been discussing it with Ian about how we can provide structured learning pathways. And certainly, as far as I know, the CPD from the live events, from the live coach training events, can count towards some sort of discount or credits or something if people want to do the full coach certification. Is that right, Ian? Why don't you say what you want to say about that rather than me trying to remember?
Yeah, we're providing live webinars 2 a month. One is aimed at our basically is from our practitioner coach diploma course, and the other is our executive and corporate coach diploma course. And the plan is that anybody who signs up to the CDC will be able to use either or both of these per month towards their personal development, their professional development, and the idea is that as more and more stuff comes up, then we can also flesh out the library of for CDC, which is basically sitting on the Noble Manhattan website at the moment anyway, and in fact is available to all Noble Manhattan graduates because that's what they pay for when they start our courses.
Okay, so I think what you're saying, what I heard you say, Ian, is that if people join as CDC, they can use that amazing material rather than having to be a graduate first to get access to that material. They can get access to that material before they graduate and potentially use some of that maybe towards accreditation or towards certification. And that would be assessed on a case-by-case basis, I guess. Does that answer your question? You could just wave at me.
Thank you, Chiruni. Okay, so before David just finishes with a very little bit about why this joint venture with CDC is important, but also networking arrangements and partnerships around the world, I just want to do one final check. Any other questions? Because I can see we've got callers in Romania, Sri Lanka, and so on who have not had their say yet. No? Okay. So thank you very much, Tracey. Over to you, David, please, just to round the call off.
Yeah, just before I do, Dawn, there's a chat question that's just come in for you.
Okay. Could you please explain that again? How could a PCD benefit from CPD for their diploma? Okay, so I think that's a question for Tracey and Ian. How could a PCD benefit from CDC for their diploma?
I might have to leave that one to Ian.
I thought you might. Basically, there are other areas of CDC that can benefit. Obviously, part of our provision to CDC includes the webinars which we are developing for the PCD. So for the practitioner coach diploma. So if you are a practitioner coach student, then you can already access those through Noble Manhattan. However, there's much more through CDC that is available to students and graduates alike than just the webinars.
And I would add to that when they have met the criteria for accreditation with the IAPC&M, particularly at we're talking about here the more junior level, the APC, the practitioner, as long as they've got the 60 prerequisite hours, of course they're going to then benefit from the Business of Coaching monthly webinars that Nikki Wild is putting together. So that's a complementary annual self-teach program which complements everything that CDC are doing as well.
Fabulous.
Thank you. I've got a thank you. So that's answered the question. So back over to you, David.
Yeah, thank you, Dawn, and thank you, Tracy and Ian, and everybody who's attended, and ultimately everybody who's listening. I just wanted to cover a couple of things about why we've partnered with CDC and why we're working with Tracey. And it's very much about the joint venture principle or networking partners. And that is to ensure that the IAPC&M are working with like-minded individuals and like-minded organizations who have not only coaches and mentors and training providers issues and concerns at heart, but also look wider to that, to how the client will benefit ultimately, which is the main reason that the IAPC&M functions, in so much as the client, the end user, ends up with a benefit. So all of the joint venture people that we're talking to not only share our vision and our philosophy and our beliefs and values, or at least as many of them as we can squeeze in, but they also have the view that it's about ongoing development and about working together. So it's reciprocal, it's symbiotic, it's all about physis, which is a word that I always like to throw in from time to time, which simply means growth. And the whole principle of this is that if we can help all of our members develop themselves in whatever function they have, then they will ultimately benefit their clients. So it's an exciting time. It's great to be working with people like Tracey, and undoubtedly there will be other organizations who are coming along who will be able to equally enhance our members' offerings.
Thank you, David. So on that note, we'll end just to say that our next call is on the 26th of the 9th, and our guest speaker is Cindy Noble, who has pioneered the term conflict management coaching. So that's going to be a really hands-on, practical call with lots of tips that we can all benefit from. So that's the 26th of the 9th at 3 p.m. UK time, and an invitation will be coming out to everybody, but that's just a heads up or a date in your diary. So thank you, everybody. Thank you all around the world, and good luck. And Tracey and I will welcome your feedback in due course.
Yes, thank you very much, and have a wonderful day wherever you are.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.